Hey, Ezra here, and in this video we're going to look at where we are in the world of e-commerce. And to understand where we are, we have to understand where we came from. And to that effect, I'd like to tell you a little story. Now, I have a history of retail in my family going back generations. My great-grandfather was a trader in Kolomaya, Russia. So what he would do is he would take a horse-covered wagon and he'd take it 7 days journey to Vienna, where he would purchase bolts of cotton and wool. He would then take that cotton and wool back to his hometown and trade it for leather. And then he would take that leather back to Vienna and trade that for more cotton and wool. And so he'd kind of do this kind of back and forth trading thing. And he did very well with that business until the time of the World War. And then my grandfather, that was my great-grandfather Abraham, this is my grandfather Isaac, and he came to America after the war, and he was selling women's clothing on the Lower East Side at a time when all the Jewish people were selling shmatas. They were in the clothing business in New York, and he would buy bulk material from one guy, and then he would have it sewed by another guy, and he had an actual shop that he sold out of on Orchard Street in New York City. And then my dad and I, between 20 and 30 years ago, we sold things at the flea market. We would get the kind of stuff like, if two teams play in the Super Bowl, they make shirts for both teams, because in case one of them's going to win, they got to have the shirts ready. So we'd get the shirts for the losing team and we'd sell this at the flea market. And that's really where I learned how to sell. That's really where I learned retail. Now, if you look at the sort of ability that my ancestors as retailers had, let's take a look. So my great-grandfather could actually only sell to people on the side of the street. I mean, that's kind of, he had people in his local town and kind of people that he ran across while he was on his journey. And then you have my grandfather, this is Isaac now, and he actually had the traffic of Orchard Street. So he had like the visibility available to him was the people who came to Orchard Street. And then my dad, Jack, and I had everyone who was at the flea market, right? So people would come to the flea market and that's who we could sell to. Well, today I do the very same thing that my family has done for generations, except for I build my shops online. I'm doing the same thing we did at the flea market, except for I'm building my shops online and I'm not geographically limited. I can sell to anyone in America. In fact, I can sell to anyone in any first world nation. So check this out. When I got started online in 2006, 2007, this graph is showing 2008. I got started around 2006, and 4% of total retail transactions were done online, meaning of all the transactions that happened, only 4% of them were happening online, from the bag of chips you bought down at the grocery store to the thing you ordered on Amazon. Now, up to 2014, that doubled. So it was growing 15% year over year, and the number of transactions that happen online has doubled to 8%. It's still holding strong at around 9% now, meaning of all the transactions that are happening, still only 8.5% are happening online. Now, it's projected that by 2019, it's going to double again. So the market is just getting bigger. It's a great time to be selling things on the internet. And the reason is that the millennial generation, which is my generation, are coming into their prime spending years. And they don't have any kind of hiccups around shopping online. Whereas the baby boomers didn't really want to put credit cards in online because they'd purchase things mostly over the phone. When they were buying from stores that weren't local. And so now that the millennial generation is coming into their prime spending years, they've grown up shopping online. That's one of the reasons that online spending is continuing to increase. The next is that Generation X, Generation Y, and the baby boomers have sort of crossed the chasm. So they're totally willing to purchase online now. There's no more hesitations. And we live in a bit of a social economy. So people like to see things that their friends are doing. And it's a lot easier to share products and share experiences through the internet. And so we're seeing a lot of product recommendations happening, which is driving online spending. And then there's mobile consumption of the digital world, meaning people are literally on the internet way more than they were now that they can carry the internet with them. And there's incredible comparison shopping online. There's demand for niche products. And we kind of live in this on-demand society where people want stuff now, and you can get things immediately when you purchase them online. So online spending is really good, and it's happening a lot. Now, if you look at it by country, China is still the number one market. I mean, they are crushing it. Then there's the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, Germany, France, and a few others. And as an e-commerce business owner, you can now sell to anyone in any developed country. So if you're a retailer in the United States, you can retail in the United Kingdom. You can run ads. And there's really no limit to how well you can do with an online business. If you look at China, for example, only 2% of their population shops online, and they did $17.8 billion in a 24-hour period just a few weeks ago, actually, on their sort of biggest shopping holiday of the year, which is a 32% growth over 2015, and only 2% of their population shops online. So there's a lot happening here, and it's a really good time to get into online marketing. You haven't missed the boat. And something interesting that's happened is that, the way that people consume the digital medium has changed. People are no longer consuming the internet in front of a, desktop computer. They're now carrying it around with them. They're touching it. So what does that mean for you? Well, it means that 67% of consumers start shopping on one device and continue shopping on another. So they start on their mobile phone and continue on a desktop, or they start on a tablet and continue on a mobile phone. Now on Facebook, 33% of people who showed interest on a mobile advertisement converted on a desktop, which means they first saw a brand on a mobile phone and then they ended up buying from that brand on a desktop computer. And in the United States, 60% of adults have two devices, meaning they have a mobile phone and an iPad, or they have a desktop and an iPad, and a quarter of those people have three devices, meaning they probably have a mobile phone, an iPad, and a laptop or desktop. Now, people are moving to bigger devices to make purchases. So they're starting their purchase decision on a mobile device. And this is going to make sense. I'm going to tell you where we're going with this, but I want you to understand some of this stuff first. So they're starting on mobile phones and making purchases on bigger devices. 50% of people are multi-screening while they watch television, meaning they're watching TV and on their phone at the same time. The thing about the mobile world that we live in is that it comes with fragmentation, meaning people are consuming content from a number of different channels. The average person has 194 plus channels they consume from, meaning they're getting their information in Gmail, they're on YouTube, they're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, they're on Pinterest, they're on Yahoo. There's 194 different channels that they're consuming content on. And Facebook and Instagram, and this is where I'm really going with all of this, Facebook and Instagram account for more time spent on mobile phones than the next 10 channels combined. And as you will see throughout this training course, that we're going to build with these things in mind. We're going to take the frame of trying to mirror people's user behavior. So basically trying to communicate with people where they're at. If we know people are hanging out on Facebook, we want to communicate with them there. If we know how they consume content, we want to set up our content in the way that's most consumable, as you'll see in this course. But that's kind of where we came from. We came from a society of people that, you kind of needed to be in a local area to sell something, and the internet has really changed that. It's allowed us to reach people all over the world in an instant. It's pretty incredible. It's a really special time. We're the first generation of people who's had access to this, and there's not a lot of us who are paying close enough attention to actually, leverage it to benefit our communities and benefit our families. And so I'm really excited that you're taking this training program with me, and I'll see you in the next video where we will continue to dig into how to effectively make sales through your Shopify store online. See you there.